Today, until vacuum do us part. Hello guys, and welcome to Till Vacuum Do Us Part. Today's video is basically a 2-for-1. We're going to be doing a DIY accent wall, just in case you need to be adding a little customized wall to your space. But I'm also doing an entryway decor refresh. So if you're needing help decorating your entryway space, this video is for you. Or if you're just wanting a very simple, affordable accent wall, you're going to love this video as well. So if you're new here, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and turn on all notifications, and let's go ahead and get started. So this is a step-by-step process of how we do any of our home projects, and I feel like I never show you the beginning, I just show us getting started. So I wanted to show you a little bit behind the scenes. We start like measuring it out, so we know how much wood we're gonna have to buy, how long it needs to be, all of the supplies. So you can just see us here. It's one night, it's late in the evening, and we're just planning everything out. Painter's tape is really good for projects like this, so you can kind of visually see what you're gonna do, if it's gonna work. And then the next day we took off and we went into Lowe's. You're gonna see we go into Home Depot as well. I like to price both out because sometimes you can get a better deal from one or the other, or they'll have different options for you. Ours are pretty close together, so we can do that. If they're further apart, just choose one, but I do like to go to both just to make sure we're getting the best deal possible. Lay it down for the night, tell myself I'm alright. We're all a little bit tongue-tied. I think it's just my type. We could do it up for life. Your call, but I'll be waiting outside. So it took us a little bit to figure out what wood we were going to use. We couldn't find like the perfect balance. Chase likes working with the wood that's super thin. This would totally be your best bet. Right here it's $15 and you could cut it into any size width, but it wasn't going to be tall enough for our ceilings. We have a really grand entryway, but if you don't have something like that, that's the best way to save money. We ended up going with these boards. They were a little bit thicker than what they wanted, but they were tall enough, so it was the best case for us. We still did this wall for like under 50 bucks. I will say we have most supplies on hand. Like we even had the paint left over from our builder, so all we had to do was buy the wood, and then we bought some like liquid nails as well. Anytime we're picking out wood, we like to lay them down to make sure they're not warped. You'll be surprised how many pieces of wood you'll pull out from a place like Home Depot or Lowe's, and they're just not level at all. So take the time to go ahead and lay them down. Make sure they just look good and are as flush as they can be. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but definitely take the time to do this step, or you'll regret it once you get home and you're trying to put it onto your wall. When we went to buy supplies, we totally forgot that we were going to be buying like long pieces of wood because we were out running other errands, and we just grabbed this while we were in town. And we live a ways out, so we didn't want to go home and grab Chase's truck. So I'm like, let's just cram it in. I think it'll fit. That'll save us so much time from driving home and coming back. And we actually got it to fit, but this is actually why Chase has a truck, so we don't have to do stuff like this all the time. Now, before we get started on the wall, I always like to move everything out and then prep it by cleaning. I feel like this is the perfect time to do it. There's nothing else there, so just take a few moments and give that area a deep clean. And then these boards weren't the exact amount we needed, so we're going to go ahead and just measure it and get them cut. We like to cut one board first and make sure it works, and then we'll go out and cut the rest. But the last thing you want to do is cut all of them and take them in and then be too short, because then you can't do much about it. So definitely just do that tester board just in case all your measurements are correct. So as we're measuring this all out, we're just making sure everything's working. That's why I'm grabbing our mirror, because I'm trying to decide if we want to hang the mirror on a board or in between the boards. So you really have to think about details when you're doing an accent wall, because once it's up, you really don't want to take it down because your wall's going to be damaged. So try to think about everything that's going to be going on the wall if you're putting any like decor pieces or mirrors or lights or whatever it may be. Now, measure and measure and measure before you start putting up those boards. Go ahead and visually lay them out. So don't actually like glue and nail them into the wall, but just lean them against the wall so you can kind of start to see exactly where they need to go. Now, before we actually use like a nail gun to make these stay on the wall, we're going to use liquid nails. That just makes sure it's going to stay there, and it also helps when you start to nail them in. So this is kind of a step you don't want to skip. I guess you could, but I would suggest it. It's super affordable to do. But once it's on the wall, you can't really move it because that glue is going to be on your wall. So just know exactly where you want to put that board. Now you can move it a little to the left or a little to the right, but you don't really want to take it off and move it like more than a few inches over. Just a little tip, if you're going to be doing a wall like this, the wider the boards are, the less you're going to put up, so the easier it's going to be, because after this you're going to have to do some caulking and painting, so just keep that in mind. You can do a ton of thinner boards, but if you want less work, if you just want to make it easier on yourself, I suggest going a little bit wider, and that's what we did. We're just putting 4 boards on a wall. You wouldn't think it would make that big of a difference, but if you stay until the end, you're going to be amazed.
When the lights go out, it's you, babe. Every time I'm down, it's you, babe. Every night in my sleep, I'm saying your name. You know, for me, it's always gonna be you, babe. It's you, babe. It's you, babe.
As you can see, it's not taking very long since it's just 4 boards. Once you buy them and then cut them down to size, it's just basically getting them up there on the wall. I will say the hardest part for us was creating more of like the layout or design, because it's never going to be really symmetrical, because where our door opens, we didn't want it to hit where the bench was. So when I went to decorate this, I panicked a little bit. I felt like we could have gotten away with 3 with the way I'm going to decorate. Now that everything's finished, I love the 4, but it did throw everything off because where my bench has to go, it's kind of offset a little bit so my door opens. So I don't know, it was just a little bit of tweaking, but now we're just going to take that caulking. This is a step you don't want to miss. I'm going to show you a before and after here in a second. It's easy to skip this step, but it doesn't take that much longer, and this is what's going to make it look like it's professionally done.
You know, for me, it's always gonna be you, babe. It's you, babe. It's you, babe.
So right here, here's the before. You can see that gap right there on the wall, and I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but once it's done, it will. Right here, after taking that caulking, it just makes it look like it's like all one piece. So my suggestion is to never skip this step.
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you wanna go,
This is one of those parts, if you had tons of boards up there, it's going to take you so much longer because you need to fix it like on both sides. Since there was just 4 boards, just caulking both sides really did not take long at all. So just keep that in mind if you're like a beginner and tackling a project like this. And then the next step you want to do is grab some wood filler. Anywhere he used his nail gun to hold up the wood to the wall, you're going to want to go ahead and fill those and sand those so it just looks nice and smooth. And then we'll finish it out by painting. Now before painting, we like to tape. Unless you're like an expert of painting, take the time to tape off just so you don't have any messes or mistakes to fix later. It doesn't take as much time as you think, and it really is going to help make that wall look more professional at the very end. So we went ahead and chose Repose Gray. It's what's already on our walls. This wall like goes over a doorway. Right here, I'm going to show you real fast. This is what YouTuber or social media life's like. We're trying to film for reels and my YouTube video at the same time. But anyways, back to the paint. There was no place for it to really cut off. So we are just painting these boards the exact same color of the wall. So we're really only painting the board and next to it. So it made it super easy and simple to do. We already had that wall paint. So it's gonna be a subtle pop basically. It's just gonna add a little texture to the wall. It's gonna flow with the rest of the house. If you wanted to make this an accent wall, you could totally do that. I have a video posted on how we do that because the steps are a little bit different if you're going to be changing the color out. So we did it when we worked on my husband's office. So definitely feel free to check out that video if you want to see the process of doing that.
all that happened to us, 'cause
I try to always share helpful tips or tricks in my videos, and if you've been around for a little while, you've heard me say this before, but I have a lot of new followers lately. But if you'll just keep supplies on hand, it's gonna make it so much easier to get started on a project. Obviously, if you're needing wood or something, you're gonna have to go grab that. But if you have like tape and paintbrushes and spray paint on hand, you're more likely to tackle a project versus if you have to go pick everything up. So every time you're out, just start grabbing like a paintbrush or a can of spray paint or just little things like that, and I promise you it's going to help get you more motivated to start working on your house.
I don't know. I wanna know you better. The way that you talk to me, the way that you make me feel. I don't know if you're put you in that spotlight, looking at you all night, put you in that spotlight.
Another tip I love to give is to make your current space your dream home now. That doesn't mean you can't move later on. It doesn't mean you have to have a certain budget. I've lived in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment where I could vacuum my entire house with a plug-in vacuum. I've had a starter home. We've slowly worked our way up, but what I will tell you is every space I have created my dream living spaces. I've made the best of it. We've been on smaller budgets, higher budgets, but it's never stopped me from just decorating. It's a passion I love. So if you want to start doing something like that, I just suggest getting on Pinterest, start saving photos you like, and start figuring out what they all have in common, and then get creative and find a way to do it on the budget. I have videos where we've done backsplash walls, and it's just from paint, and it's been super affordable. With today's time, you can get so creative, and there's so many videos out there posted. So just start with one room, start tackling it, clean it, get it decluttered, get it organized, and then start finding ways to decorate it. It may take a little bit of elbow grease, but I promise you, you'll love it when it's finished.
Ooh, I just want you now. I wanna put you in that spotlight, looking at you all night, put you in that spotlight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, you make
Okay, so this is the next morning. We did start that wall really late just because we had been busy. So we went to bed, we let everything dry, and now is the fun part. This is the part of the video where we're going to be doing an entryway refresh. I'm going to be using some of the pieces I have. At first, I'm going to kind of just go ahead and show you what it would look like if we put all the same decor back out here. You can still see it's going to make a big difference just adding texture to the wall, but hang tight because I decided to shop my house and switch a few pieces out. I wasn't expecting to do that, but once the wall got done, it was just calling for different vibes, and I'm so happy because I love, love, love this space now. So even after all that planning, this is the part where I started to think we really made a mistake, because I felt like we could have been fine with 3 boards because there's one just off to the side floating, but it's really hard to decorate this space because now we've made it very even with these boards, but there's a door that opens so we can't decorate that space. If I put a bench there, the door's gonna hit it every time and that'll drive me crazy. So trying to find the perfect location for the mirror was really hard. I couldn't decide if I centered it with the wall. Did I center it with the bench? Which way was going to stress me out worse? So you guys can let me know in the end. I think it turned out perfect, but I'm not going to lie. I asked Chase if we could take a board down, and he was like, no. So I definitely made it work, and it actually turned out better than I was expecting.
What if we got everything together, and wouldn't it be better then? Get more money, less anxiety, more passion, please, wanna alter who I am. Get a little lost, can't find my way, but I can't stay here forever. Get a little low.
Okay, so this is the plant I had here originally, and it used to be in a pot, and I actually moved that white pot into my bedroom when I was doing our master bedroom makeover, so you can go check that out if you need some inspiration for your master bedroom. But I had picked up this Spanish moss for the pot in my master bedroom, and it made it look so much nicer, and I had leftovers. So when I went and got this pot for this plant, I ran and grabbed it. I'm so glad I did. If you guys haven't grabbed this stuff before, it really elevates your faux plants in your house. So as you can see, once I put it in a nice like planter and put this Spanish moss on top, it really made it look so much nicer and more expensive, and it was so cheap and easy to do.
Coast, wouldn't it be simple then? Find perfect peace, give up everything. Are we in harmony? Looking for a better plan. We get a little lost along the way, but we can't stay here forever. Get a little low to low the pace, so we can face it better.
Okay, so as you can see, this space looks really good. This is all of the decor pieces I had there originally. It looks great, but the mirror was throwing me off with like not being symmetrical, and so I was needing to add some weight to the right side. So I started off by switching out the plant with one of my olive trees. And what I do is basically shop my house. So if you're new here, I encourage you to shop your house before you ever leave it to go buy new decor. See what you have, because 9 times out of 10 you have something in your house that will work, and it'll save you so much money from going to the store. So if you have some extra decor pieces, sometimes it's nice to keep like a closet or a cabinet just so you can change things out easily. And if you decorate with neutrals, it's kind of an extra bonus because those pieces can go into multiple spaces and can keep being reused. Also, just a tip, if you're going to be decorating with neutrals, it's very important that you focus on texture, otherwise the space is going to get really boring. The first time I went to all neutrals, I didn't know that, and it just got very, very plain and boring, so definitely add some texture into your space. Now I have a fun little bonus for you on this lighting. So I wanted wall sconces in our entryway, but in this space I didn't want wires hanging down, and I didn't want to pay to have them like hardwired in. So I just bought these little touch lights off Amazon. The lights themselves are from Amazon too, so I'll link all of this down below in my description box if you want to do something like this. But if you don't like my style, you can get whatever style you want, but just get these little soft touch lights. And then we just had Velcro in the house, so all we did was add a piece to the light and then a piece inside the light itself so it would stick up in there. That way when we need to switch out the batteries, we can just pull it down, change the batteries, and put it back up. But this was super easy to do. Now if you get on Amazon, they have some lights that are already done with the remote, but they were like $109 for a set. These lights were only $30, and then I just added in the push lights, and it saved us a ton of money.
Cause I'm shooting for the moon tonight, and I got a feeling I'm gonna crash some stupid party. Tear the ceiling down in front of everybody. If someone's pouring up a drink, I'm calling shawty.
To install these lights, we didn't do anything fancy. We hung them just like we would if we were hardwiring them in. So it comes with a bracket, you screw it in. Chase is going to show you step by step. It is super easy to do, and this really completed the space. To be honest, I almost didn't have him put it on because I liked all the very like neutral vibes, but adding just a little bit of pop was huge. And then to have this lighting in the evening, it is so nice. We just go in there and touch it underneath and then turn it off when we're done. I am so impressed with this, and it was such a cheap project to do.
Stop, yeah, I can't wait to hear that bass drop down.
Here are the lights and how they turned out. I think they're gorgeous. I can't believe how cheap it was to add these, and it just added so much to the space. Now I'm going to quickly just clean this mirror because it had a lot of fingerprints on it. I'm going to show you some after clips of this space, and then I'm going to show you a few spaces of future home projects. I have a few walls I want to work on. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing with those spaces or when I'm doing it, but they're definitely coming up soon.
In front of everybody. If someone's pouring up a drink, I'm calling shawty. I'm gonna find a crowd so I can put it on me. Swinging from the chandeliers, I won't be sorry. I got a feeling I'm gonna crash into this party. Cause I'm just an accident waiting.
One wall we definitely need to work on is in my husband's office. Ever since we itched to switch the rooms, it's just super bare, but I haven't figured out what to do yet. I also want to work on this wall. I don't know if it's the wall, I don't know if it's the dresser, I don't know if it's a little bit of everything. And then one space I'm going to be working on is this area. If you follow me on Instagram, I've already tweaked it some, so you may already know, but we'll be working on it a little bit more later on. Here is a picture of this space at night. I think it's gorgeous. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope it got you motivated to tackle a project in your house. Make sure you're subscribed here so you can come back and see more. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!